there, loves. Welcome back. It's Talsy. Today I want to talk about doubt when you are manifesting, okay? And what's really going on and how we can actually kill doubt, not through fighting it or forcing, because a lot of you end up in spirals this way. I want to explain what's really going on from an identity and an awareness perspective, and how you can actually get to a place of dealing with doubt where your doubt eventually dissipates or is a non-issue, okay? So we're going to talk about like when you're claiming something, a desire, and we've already discussed your desire is done when you claim it, right? So you've chosen it, you've claimed it, and then suddenly, you're going about your day and you start getting fearful thoughts creeping in or doubts creeping in, or maybe you even feel like you're on the verge of a spiral and those thoughts feel really loud, your body feels really activated, you feel like something is like slipping out of your control. You may even be turning your mind into an overcomplicated kind of a puzzle, like spirals often happen when we start thinking, also for those of you that are practicing consciousness, you start thinking, well, what if this doubt means I'm not doing something correctly, right? Or this doubt, one bad thought or one doubt is gonna like ruin everything. What if I mess things up? What if I've lost it? What if everything that I've done until now in terms of my conscious awareness and manifesting even techniques, guys, they're not gonna work. So let me say this clearly from the start. Doubt, I think this is a follow-up from my intrusive thoughts video, which I'll link up, but doubt actually has not any power at all. The only power doubt ever has is the power that you give it, the same way that like a negative thought has no power, right? But awareness here is actually key, okay? So doubt is not evidence, and I'm going to talk about evidence and logic, etc. in a moment, but it's the attention that is giving life or supporting that doubt, okay? So doubt is not proof. It's not a sign. Doubt is a thought pattern asking for your attention, and only your attention can keep that doubt alive, essentially, or perpetuate a so-called spiral or, negative emotions, etc. So here's the truth most people miss. Nothing manifests without some level of focus or attention or awareness, okay, in your personal reality. And so without sustained attention or focus, things must shift. Now, everything is perpetually moving, so we're going to come back to logic and circumstance and evidence. Like, we are very conditioned, not everyone, because a lot of you are aware, we're very conditioned to look for evidence outside, and we know that consciousness is realizing that you're the evidence, the outside follows you, right? But essentially, usually when you're spiraling and you have doubts, you are looking to the outside and fearing that the outside is going to decide something or go against you. And it's really just awareness versus awareness, which is focus, right? So it's attention, it's an identity and a lens, okay? Now, a thought, you're shifting all the time, but if you have a thought that is like doubtful or contradicting the identity you've chosen, say you've decided I am that I am and I'm this version of me and this is my desire and it's done and I have it, I have the SP, I have the money, I have this, I'm successful, whatever. Now, in that moment that you've chosen, because everything is in the now moment, that reality, you're already there, okay? And so the outside is going to provide the evidence, provided that you validate that as true and feed that awareness and keep your focus internally on that state, right? Like the assumption that you have it. Now, when doubt creeps in, it's just old awareness pulling you in another direction, and it's like battle between what you've chosen and what you've previously experienced, okay, or perception, guys. So the illusion that things aren't moving, things are moving moment by moment, and all is accessible in like the eternal now moment, but nothing is permanent with the exception of perception. So we need to understand that, falling under the illusion that circumstances, conditions, and old logic from a past perception is permanent, or having the doubt based on evidence from a previous awareness, a previous, identity, a state of awareness, is like going the wrong way around. This is usually like better the devil you know, you understand? So it's very familiar to go back to an old way of thinking, doubting, perceiving. And so this is really just the way to nip this in the bud is not to fight it, because if you're fighting a doubt and viciously, and you are really stressed out and you are like going and over analyzing it all the time, and you're thinking, well, now that might be more powerful than what I have chosen, then you're just really feeding it attention, guys. And I said that attention is really what is going to bring about, you know, momentum and where you're going to see evidence, right? So again, best to do, best practice when it comes to dealing with a doubt or a doubtful thought or a fearful thought is just not to feed it, okay? You don't need to fix it or overanalyze it. Now, observation and awareness is very key, okay? So being aware, observing, this is where you need to sort of bring yourself out and become a little bit more observant and aware, which should be a lot easier for a lot of you that have been doing this work around consciousness and understanding that you're actually that awareness behind a persona at any time, okay? So being aware and then understanding that the now moment, what you're choosing is true and fact, and then being aware when a doubt creeps in contrary to that and just being like, okay, I see that, I'm aware of it, but I don't need to indulge it or feed it. And doubt is going to die as you get in the practice of doing that. Now, for some of you, you may not have any, so I'm not going to cause that assumption for you, okay, create that assumption. But others of you may be struggling with this. So I just want to say that the more you can get in the habit of understanding what that doubt really is, the less power it's going to have. It only has the power that you give it. And given that we can reset in any moment, guys, like it's not a regression if you have a doubt. It's not an indication that you have to wait now a long time for something to come through. It's literally just something, like I said, old awareness tempting you to spiral out of control and feed that identity that's very familiar to you, okay? So you can just be aware, take yourself a breather, come back to the now moment and just say, okay, that's very interesting, but that's not true. That is not my story. Now I get to reselect because choice is available in the now moment. All versions exist in the now moment. Your assumption is fact in the now moment from who you're being, the acceptance of it, your desire and the acceptance of it, staying in that state of the wish fulfilled, knowing that the outside must deliver. So if you declare, for example, because this channel, we do focus on love and SPs a lot. So my SP is in love with me. That is a chosen reality. That desire is done. That assumption is fact in that now moment. And it's just about your perception and the identity of being the you that knows that that's true and self-validating. But if a doubt arises, but what about, you know, if they're not? Or what if nothing's changed? Or what if I'm wrong? Or what if I'm not doing things correctly or manifesting correctly, which again, guys, is bullshit because you're just manifesting all the time and it's whatever you say it is, right? But, you know, the old version of you, perception and maybe certain circumstances and conditions which you're logically trying to go to, they're challenging you in your now decision, you know, that's tempting you to doubt yourself. And so just having faith in self and your I amness, and then taking yourself, like being a bit more detached and being like the awareness behind, you know, the doubtful thought, guys, because you're not even your thoughts, right? You are the awareness behind it. So being aware of that, but then not feeding. And then this is when you can become very empowered and actually direct your focus. So say, okay, look, I'm going to starve that of attention. It has no relevance. So you don't have to resist with a lot of fear and all of this, because that's just like you fighting and giving power, but you just need to redirect. So take a breather in the now moment and know that that thing means nothing and has no relevance to what you're choosing. Reselect, okay, but I know who I am. I know what I've decided. This is my choice. So it's a return, okay? And it should get you to really feel less anxiety. You know, nervous system, people talk about that a lot. I mean, it should calm you, to be honest, when you grasp really the fundamentals of what is really going on here, where it's not really all of this doubt, it's not real unless you say so, okay? So when you try to kill doubt by force, like say you're staring at the, you've got a doubtful thought, then you're freaking out and you're trying to affirm a million times that that doubt is not right and not true. Or if you feel doubtful and then you just go and you start feeding it and worrying, well, both cases are feeding a lot of power when it's as simple as, remember states, I've talked about this before in other videos and live streams, the state of the wish fulfilled is one, the state, and it's like essentially that's the solution, and the state where there's a lot of problems and fears and doubts and separation from your desire, that's, you know, the problem, okay? So we've got solution and problem. So the solution is just to reselect, But in order to do that, to alleviate a lot of this, what's going on, like mind-body decoherence or whatever, like how you're observing and things seeming out of control, is to be aware of how you're observing and observe in a way that feeds your end in the now that is preferred, okay? So not the other way. So when consciousness is established in the wish-fulfilled, as in your persistent identity and the way you're observing, perceiving, and focusing is in alignment with your wish fulfilled, and knowing that, because guys, it's done, things will materialize and the evidence will be shown to you, then nothing can shake you. So no circumstances, no perceived silence, okay? No emotional fluctuations. You're no longer asking, is this real? Is this working? Or, oh no, what if that thing that happened before is going to happen again? From an old identity, guys, like something unpreferable. You're living from, this is the reality I chose, and I know that I'm everything. I'm the consciousness behind this persona, and this persona, I know that the outside is going to reflect me and my chosen state and my decision and what I'm perceiving, where I'm perceiving from. And so from that position, doubt becomes like white noise, is that right? Background noise. But not a threat. And eventually, guys, if you can get really in the habit of this, being a little bit more detached and observant of the doubts, if they do pop up, you're going to find that they have way less power. Eventually, the doubt is not going to really show up as much, or in the case when it does, you'll be able to nip in the bud really fast. It's habit, it's not perfection. Though some of you might say, I have no doubts, and that's totally fine, okay? So that's also a version of you. But the truth that people don't like hearing is that there's an element of consistency involved. So you're just reconditioning because there's a version of you that's relying on logic, or better the devil you know, like looking to old version of self and experiences and unconsciously gripping to that and expecting again. And that is what's tempting you. And so the consistency in returning to a new habit, a new way of perceiving, a new way of being can be a bit of a challenge. But in the end of the day, the consistency is what is going to help you to remain steadfast, okay, and weaken a pattern. So identify it as exactly that, a pattern and nothing more, and reselect. And again, the now moment should alleviate this issue, the fact that you're just choosing moment by moment by moment from the eternal possibilities and experiences that you can have. So eventually doubt's just going to stop knocking, or when it does, you're going to be able to just like give it absolutely no attention. And you'll be in your power, and you'll be able to start directing more intentionally your reality. So faith is not about like feeling overly confident all the time, but there is a level of faith in self that is, I would say, kind of essential to make things more effortless for you. It's not hype, it's not pretending, but it is choosing and trusting in self and your choice. Even when the mind is chattering and fighting against you, you just pull yourself back to the now. Take a breath, be observant. Okay, I have a doubtful thought. That doubt means nothing. The faith is saying, I don't need validation for what I've chosen, because what I've chosen exists and I'm the validation. I'm giving it to myself. I'm saying what's what, and what I say, it's true, okay? So there's no need for permission. It's just like maybe a redirection of attention, okay? So to sum it up, in order to reclaim your authority, if you take anything from this video, let it be this. You don't kill doubt by attacking it back, but you do dissolve it by withdrawing your focus, okay? And in order to do that, it takes a level of awareness, okay? So just knowing and observing yourself. Okay, I know I say awareness a lot, so observation. So being a little bit more detached, being like the ego mind is going to want you to be chattering along and on autopilot. So just a little bit of this space that you give yourself, recognizing what thoughts are and understanding that you're behind the thoughts, and then observing and being aware when something pops up and you start feeling some way or you start doubting, and then just returning to that knowingness that you get to re-choose, okay? And there are infinite realities and states, identities, and you get to choose what you're occupying in the now, and then trusting in that. So what you sustain with attention becomes your outer experience. I'm not saying that to spook you. If you have come onto this video and you've been giving something in your mind a lot of attention, reset in this now moment, guys. We're shifting moment by moment. As I said, the illusion of things persisting, everything's shifting with the exception of your perception. I'm going to make this a catchphrase. So perceive everything is moving in your favor. Reselect from the identity that knows that. Check what you're assuming or thinking about. If it's not in, serving what you've chosen that you prefer, just give it no attention, give it no power, okay? You are the power. So that is alignment, that's mastery, and that is how you're going to have the most painless, effortless experience in consciously manifesting, guys. So faith in the unseen, the evidence is going to show up if you sustain your awareness of being the version of you that has it, giving yourself the desire, being the validation, trusting in that, and not giving any power or awareness to something that's not serving you internally or externally. Okay? I hope that video helped, guys. You can let me know in the comments. I do have a couple of free primers for those of you that come to me for tarot, but you're still curious about how tarot mirrors your consciousness, even circumstances, conditions, and how energy is shifting all the time, but it is very dependent on you and how you're perceiving. You can check out the primer. It's a 7-day reset. And also I do have a primer in there as well about like how you're the evidence, which I'm emphasizing endlessly in this video, okay? So you can check them out. I've pinned them in the comments. I'm sending you guys so much love, and I will check in with you very soon.